The Rodcast with Rod Black, brought to you by NorthStar Bets. That's a win. Now here's your host, Rod Black.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another Rodcast. Rod Black with you. Not your normal podcast. This is a Rodcast. And today's guest is quite simply not a normal guest. He is one of the most opinionated, controversial, thought-provoking, sometimes goofy, often brilliant former athletes turned broadcasters, or as we all become, podcasters, or in my case, a rodcaster. He's not only one of North America's best hockey players, the United States' best hockey players. He is one of the best hockey players who has ever played. He is a man of many titles and a man of many words. So let's drop the puck, everybody. Here we go. Welcome, JR, Jeremy Roenick. Let's roll the Rodcast. Well, here he is. There he is. My man, hockey player.
We finally connect. We finally connect.
TV star, Hollywood personality, Gator wrestler, rapper.
Just all around good guy.
There he is.
Just all around good guy, Blackie.
What?
Come on, you know.
Okay, let's just first of all, parental guidance might be suggested for this broadcast, but
100%, 100%.
We don't care. But what is it that you haven't done that you'd like to do? Because I think you've done virtually everything, correct?
I've never skydived, and I don't plan on doing it. You know that common saying, "I don't feel any reason to jump out of a perfectly good working airplane." So,
well, although based on some of your Twitter lately, maybe you did want to jump out of some airplanes.
That's not me. That's my liver. That was my liver that tried to jump out of a plane after coming back from a work trip from Chicago. I played six rounds of golf in 7 days, and I have a great job, and a lot of my job is entertaining and creating great relationships and going golfing and going to hockey games and dinners and lunches, and it's a great job, and it's in construction, and I'm meeting a lot of great people and being able to travel again and get into the thick of things. You know, Rod, you know me. I like to talk. I like to be with people because I love people until they do something that makes me not like them. But yeah, it's been great.
That's the thing about you. Again, the versatility. But I mean, you're one of the great voices that we have had in our game for a while. Do you miss being in the mainstream, though, or do you kind of like being on the outside looking in? I mean, I still think you're in the mainstream because when anybody ever needs something, I guess, provocative or something analytical or strategic,
or real,
who do they call?
For real.
For real,
honest.
For real,
and
unfiltered.
Honest.
They call JR, right?
And honest.
Honest.
Let's put it this way. I don't miss the game, and I don't miss everything that the game entails. I don't miss the politics of it. You know what I miss? I miss the intimacy that I thought that I brought between myself and the fan. I loved going on television and having no care whether I looked stupid or
Dude,
I sounded stupid. No, I didn't care.
I mean, you're the only guy besides me that ever cried on television, I think, in a sporting event.
Yeah, listen, I love being able to come into somebody's living room on television and enjoy the game that I love and give them my perspective of what was happening, of what I saw, the things that I see in a game that maybe some other people wouldn't see, and why it is so important to the game or why it affected the game. And to be honest, when Sidney Crosby sucked, or when Malkin sucked, or when the Edmonton Oilers blow ass, and they wasted 3 hours of my time with the best player on the planet, in tow. So you got to be honest with and have a conversation with people, and people are smart. They know when you're blowing smoke, and they know when you're trying to appease somebody or appease the brass or appease the player I didn't care about that. I wasn't there to make friends. I was there to inform and teach and entertain. And I thought I miss that. I do miss that. But all the other bullshit that comes along with it, they can keep that stuff. All the
management.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The egos, the
Yeah.
egos of the upper brass.
Yes.
Oh, you can't say that. We can't do this because it makes these guys look bad or makes the
Or
league look bad.
listening to a subculture at times
Yeah,
because somebody complained once.
correct. 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 Or having to deal with people because they're not aligned with the same political party or the same beliefs or the same uh you know loves that you have.
Mhm.
you know I don't listen. This world is great because everybody has their own opinions and they have their own likes and their own dislikes, and I don't believe that you should not like somebody or push them aside because of what they like or what they believe or what they will fight for. I have a lot of friends that don't agree with me a lot of the times, but we're great friends because we have a respect for each other. I think respect is lost in this world today.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You think about, the world as it is. I mean, what again, and everybody having an opinion. We can
Mhm,
all have discourse.
mhm.
I've seen you engage in conversations with people, and it doesn't.
Yeah,
I think one of the things is that people think that you have to have if you're going to have an argument, it becomes a fight. An argument
no,
does not have to become, or a disagreement does not have to become a brawl.
no, and no, it doesn't. And it's not about winning or losing,
Hmm.
okay? Because you're not going to start when somebody has the beliefs that they have. It's okay, and it's not that my beliefs are different than yours. So
Hmm.
I'm not going to sit here and argue with you so that you will become me. But what I would like to do is to make you maybe understand why I think a certain way. And if people understand why people think a certain way, even though it might be drastically apart, maybe they're like, okay, that's actually a good point. Even though I don't 100% agree with him, he does stand for something, and he stands for something that's good, and he does have some valid points. And but I'm not going to think that way, right? So, but I just think there's too much division, not only in our country in the United States, but also in Canada right now.
Hmm.
And it starts from the top down. It starts from the leaders of our country right on down, and everybody is just jumping on board. And the social media and media feed the
Yeah.
narrative that people that don't pay attention very often, but do get glimpses of things, get
You know,
sideways.
yeah, LeBron James, I remember, I think it was about a year ago, said, we have voices. We all have voices. Athletes have voices. We're human. We have voices. And, I'm sure you heard that thing, shut up and dribble, or,
Mhm.
you're a hockey player. What kind of opinion? Or you're a sports announcer. Why should you be talking about politics or other things in the world? Does that kind of conversation drive you crazy?
I think there's a time and a place for everything. Personally, I think a lot of people go to their sports to watch their sports and to watch their favorite athlete to get away from the stupidity that's happening, or to get away from the monotony of the bullshit that we're hearing and the lies that we're hearing on television on both sides of each fence. I think when you see a player of LeBron's status, okay, who is probably a billionaire by now, who has gotten every single great quality of this great country of ours in America, and has been able to become one of the best athletes of all time and be one of the richest people of all time. Nobody wants to hear how they're that they're being kept down, how they're afraid to go outside, and how they're the racism card. I think racism is the worst thing in the world, and yes, there are racists out there, but there's no systemic racism in America, and there's no systemic racism in Canada. I mean, we both belong to probably the greatest two countries of equality in the world. And I just don't think people want to be lectured by the billionaires who's getting their meals cooked for them, having their cars driven by a chauffeur, who's taking private jets and yachts all over the world, and having everybody tell us how to think and how to feel and how you should, shame on me. We're it's just I don't agree with it. And it's that banter. We shouldn't see color. We shouldn't see like differences in people. We should look at them. We would hope. We should judge people by how they treat us and by how they carry themselves, not by how they look or what they believe, or their gender or whatever the case may be. But people have just made it such a violent war of words that I wonder whether we can ever go back and get out of it. That's the problem.
Yeah. I know we want to talk about sports. I will get to sports, but you're fascinating to chat with. Why did we get to this? Why did we get to this point though? How did we become so divided, yet we're probably more intelligent as a human race than we've ever been ever? How did we come to this?
I think I got a couple of reasons why. Okay. I think the first reason that started everything was social media. Okay. So social media, I think one thing gave a platform. Now,
to everybody.
There has always in history been assholes, selfish people, narcissists, jealous people, angry people, sad people, happy people, kind people. There always has been forever. What social media has been able to do, on top of some of the great things it's been able to do business-wise and to connect a lot of people, but what it's also done to that spurred this whole thing is it's given the assholes a platform to meet each other, right? We always knew they were assholes, but we didn't know who they were because the assholes weren't brave enough to be the assholes that they really are, face to face, eye to eye.
You kind of saw them in hockey rinks, right? You saw them booing you or yelling at you, vitriol. Yeah, but you might have seen them on the street in a bar.
Yeah, but there's nobody in a bar that's going to look you in the face or me in the face, not many, that are going to say the things that they say on a keyboard when they don't have to have any accountability for what they say. Okay, so we've always had them, but now what social media did is given the assholes a chance to meet the other assholes, and they say, "Oh, look, he thinks like me," and then they keep it going, and they create that suction of hatred and negativity that doesn't go punished, that goes without accountability, right? And you can't have that. I mean, there are kids. One of my young phenoms, 16-year-old hockey players out of Detroit, Michigan, 16 years old. One of his very, very, very good friends, 16-year-old girl, committed suicide the other day by hanging herself because of the bullying that she received over social media. Okay? That should turn everybody's stomach. Yeah. And by the way, that should also lead our leaders again. You can't let these social media companies exactly. You cannot let these social medias They have to go punished. They have to have rules. These people just cannot run across a 120 letter verse and spew hatred that is going to cause harm to somebody without going punished. Whether it's the government going into their bank account and taking $1,000 fine out of their bank account, or the police knocking on their door and putting them in jail for a night. I don't know what it is. We do have free speech, but free speech also comes with accountability. With accountability. You can't go into a crowded theater and yell fire. That's free. That's not free speech, because it will invoke havoc and panic. Well, guess what? What people say on social media also can invoke panic and pain. And until somebody does that, so that's, I think, the first part why we've become so divided in that aspect. And then, unfortunately, we never knew what the swamp was until Donald Trump came along. And then Donald Trump came along and took those swamp creatures and brought them right to the top. And now we see how
because Donald
really
Trump
works.
Donald Trump well too, right?
Yeah, I very well do. I know him very well. He's a very giving man. He has an ego on him. Don't get me wrong. There's no question about it. And he likes to brag. But I also know he's one of the most giving, and he loves America more than anybody I think I've ever seen in my life. To the point to where he's taken this abuse for 6 years, the way that he has. But we now see when the people that want the power, all the power, what happens when their power is jeopardized, right? And they just and by the way, that's Republican and
both
Democrats.
sides.
And up there, it's the liberals and the progressives and the conservatives. So I don't care who you are. You see the people that want power, and when it gets threatened to get that taken away from them, they will do anything to crush you to keep it. Anything, and that's divisive in itself.
Yeah, dude. Do you think that you would ever consider politics or running for party or anything like that? I just say that because you have such strong opinions and you have a real sense of righteousness, I do believe, in you, and freedom and all of the things, all those tenets. But would you ever even consider it?
No, I mean, I wouldn't. It's just, I have too much of a reputational and I think a past that too many people will try to get after me and go after me. Here's the thing,
though. Everybody knows what you've done. Like a lot of these politicians, they're taking out skeletons, and then everybody knows what you.
It's true.
You've been the most honest guy around.
That's true. Yeah, you know what? I don't have enough time in my life to do politics.
You can't take the pay cut.
I'm doing, yeah, exactly. But by the way, Nancy Pelosi's worth $120 million. She's been a lifelong congresswoman, making $160,000 a year. But there might be some benefits somewhere in that job. I'm just guessing.
Would you ever consider? Okay, let's talk about leadership in hockey. Then, would you ever consider a coaching job, a managerial job, an ownership job? I think you'd be a good coach.
I know I'd be a good coach. I know I would be a good coach. My only problem, I think, would be I'm so intense, right? I'm such a competitor. And I just think that today's game, and I think that the toughness of the game, I think your ability to raise your voice in today's game, we've seen too many times players just quit on coaches and revolt against coaches and not want to play for coaches because it's too hard. Or, I don't know whether I'd be able to subdue my inner fire and my competitiveness and sometimes my anger. I mean, I see myself watching television, swearing at the television, at certain players.
I've been with you. I've seen it.
Exactly. at referees, at stupidity. And I'm like, and I just don't know whether I can bring it down and maybe in my older age, I think maybe I could. I would definitely think of giving it a shot. If like Rick Tocchet got a job and asked me to come be assistant coach, I would go. Yeah. I don't know. I just, I get this.
Assistants become head coaches eventually.
Yeah. I just think the National Hockey League is done with Jeremy Roenick and have pretty much erased me from
really?
the. Yeah, I do. I think so.
That.
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
100%.
So, well, here's one thing. Okay. And I'm not saying this because I know you so well, but over 500 goals, 700 assists, all the points, everything you've done, everything you played for, everything you represented. How have you not got the call to the Hockey Hall of Fame? That's all I'm going to say. How?
I mean, I get and it's not just once a year I get this question. I get it I get it probably 4 or 5 times a week.
Do you think you're
Literally
going to
every.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to come. It's going to happen.
No, I don't think so.
Are you
No,
serious? You don't think it'll happen?
No, I really don't
Why?
think so. I just think I've been too controversial. I think I've been too honest and outspoken.
So was Brett Hull.
Yeah, but
you're Brett Hull. You're Brett Hull 2.0 though.
Yeah, I know. Brett Hull didn't tell the National Hockey League to wake up. You know,
good point. Good point.
To wake the F up. And at certain points, I took a big stand. In 2004, I was one of the only players who went around and took a tally on how many players would accept the salary cap to save the season. Mm-hmm. And I got 70 or 80 players that said, if it's a soft cap and it's okay, yes, I would agree to it. And then when the time came, when all of us are in the room, a lot of them, wouldn't put their hand up, and where I said, listen, the owners are going to win. They're going to want a salary cap. They're going to win because of their owners. They're richer than us. They're more powerful than us. They're going to get what they want. And we have a chance to save half the season. And, to a lot of people's anger, being Bob Goodnow and Ian Pulver and a bunch of other people that really were pissed off at me for saying, hey, listen, let's think of something that we can live with, but we still save the season and save the NHL. I got ostracized and crushed for it, but that's okay. And by the way, what do
JR, look at like you are.
But what do we have in the game? We missed a whole year.
Yeah,
missed a whole year, and what do we have in the game? We have a salary cap.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay? And players are still making a lot of money under the salary cap. So who was right? I was right.
Yeah. So would you rather be the guy that everybody says, and they're going to make a movie someday probably about your story, a miniseries. James Woods plays you, I think. I don't know.
That's good. He plays me as the old JR.
Yes. Yeah. But would you rather be that guy who helped change the game, which you did, and kind of been that, I guess, rebel, if you want to put it that way, or would you rather? So would you rather be in the Hockey Hall of Fame?
Sell my soul, so I can be in the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Yeah. No. You said it earlier. You don't kiss anybody's butt.
No, I would not.
Wow.
I refuse to change the way that I was, because I know I brought a lot of happiness to a lot of people. And let me tell you something. You can go around to the real fans that stand outside the arenas that get autographs. You can talk to a lot of people. You will find that not many athletes in any sport treated the fans like I treated the fans. I would throw pucks to them. I would wink at them. I'd have fun with them. I'd stop in airports. I'd give people hugs. I'd talk. I would do, I go out of my way to make sure that I had time for every single person to ask and every single person that recognized me.
To this day.
Still to this day. Actually, I was having dinner with a friend of mine the other day, and he said, and I've only known him for a short period of time, and he's not a hockey fan. And he's like, what I've noticed about you is how every time you see somebody, you ask them how they are, and you have a quick conversation, and it's just it's like you care about these people. I said, Jody, of course I care about them. They're the reasons why we get to play the game that we get to play. So listen,
you're like Charles. You're like Charles Barkley in so many ways. You guys are identical in many ways.
100%. But I won't sell my soul to get into a club, to tell you the truth. And I know it's an exclusive club, but I don't feel bad for myself about the Hall of Fame. You know who I feel bad for? I feel bad for somebody like Alexander Mogilny. Okay, you look at a guy like Al. Yeah. You look like a guy.
I can't believe he's not in the Hall of Fame.
Well, let's just analyze this for a second. Okay, take me out of the equation. I can understand why they don't want me in their club. Okay, I get it. It's I'm rambunctious. I'm outgoing. I'm
Have
honest.
You ever been there?
Sometimes I'm brash.
Have you ever been there?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. They used to invite me to the Hall of Fame
the game
weekend, to the weekend and all that stuff. Oh yeah.
You just score like 5 goals or something one of those games.
Yeah, I don't get that invite anymore. But that goes back when I said they just kind of erased me. But Alexander Mogilny, when I look at the Hall of Fame, I look at what kind of impact that you had on the game. Like, how good were you in the game, and what kind of impact you gave on the game. Now, granted, my stats and everything speaks for itself, but let's look at Alexander Mogilny, and this bothers me. The Russians in hockey have been such a huge influence for the last 30 years. It's been unbelievable. Look at some of the greatest Russians that, Alexander Ovechkin right now being one of the best it's ever been, one of the best goal scorers I think I've ever seen. He would not have been able to come play in this league if it wasn't for people like Alexander Mogilny, who risked his life, his family, his well-being, his future by defecting from Russia to the National Hockey League, literally sneaking into a car, sneaking out of the country and going to play against the Federation's wishes, and he got ostracized for it. And then he goes on to score 485 goals. He has a Stanley Cup. He's done everything in the world stage, and he's not in the Hall of Fame. You want to talk about someone who's made an impact? All those Russians should be thanking Alexander Mogilny for making a statement. But because if it wasn't for Alexander Mogilny, Fedorov wouldn't have come. If it wasn't for Fedorov to come, Fedosov and Konstantinov don't come. Fedosov and Konstantinov are the ones that convinced the Russian Federation to allow Russians to come over. So is that not an impact that deserves to be in the Hall of Fame? And Alexander Mogilny is not in the Hall of Fame? How about Theo Fleury? How is Theo Fleury not in the Hall of Fame? In a day and age where we're so worried about mental illness, and we praise people who are able to overcome amazing challenges and do great in their sport or in their job, and someone who's been able to talk and help other people with the same kind of mental problems or physical problems that they've gone through. Theo Fleury went through one of the most horrific sexual assault situations as a junior in the world that I've ever heard in hockey. And yet what does he do as a smaller stature guy? Okay, small guy, probably couldn't play in the league. Nobody thought could play in the league in the late 80s, early 90s because of his size. But what does he do? He goes and scores 455 goals. He wins a Stanley Cup. He wins Olympic golds, over 1,000, 1,100 points. How is that not inspirational? So take me out of the equation. Like, take me out of the Hall of Fame equation. What really bothers me about the club is why aren't the people that have really had major impacts on the sport and have changed the sport and have helped the sport grow through different things than a guy like Alexander Mogilny and Theo Fleury? And how about at one time the fourth highest winning goaltender of all time in Curtis Joseph? Now, if we weren't playing in a generation with no ties, right? Curtis Joseph would still be probably the fourth all-time leading winning goaltender of all time. I just don't get it. I don't understand it. I guess there's new parameters. I don't know what those parameters are, but I'm not thinking about it anymore, to tell you the truth. I love the game. I love watching the game. I know my career was great. I made a lot of good friends. I made a lot of fans happy, and I pissed off a lot of fans. But that's okay. I'm 52 years old. I'm happy as shit.
Well, you're in my Hall of Fame, and you're in a lot of people's.
So, I appreciate it.
I got to tell you something. We are very, very serious. And one thing I love about you most is your heart and the fun-loving Jeremy Roenick. When I play this, Jeremy Roenick, what do you think of?
That's my karaoke go-to, man. That's my karaoke song.
Come on.
Yeah. Funky Cole Medina. Yeah, baby.
Now you don't play around with the funky Cole Medina. Right, everybody? You know what I'm saying? I like it. Keep it going. Let's go. By the way, thank you, Moncton. Thank you for having me. Thanks for having us. Thanks for all of your fundraising. I'm going to have a blast, and I'm going to leave you with this. Yes, sir.
Hey, listen, I again, it's just, it's
Give us a little.
entertaining.
There you go. Give us a little.
Like I said, I don't get no satisfaction. The girls are all around, and none of them want to get with me. My threads are fresh, and I'm looking deaf. Yo, what's up with LOC? The girls are all jocking.
There you go.
Yeah, it's great,
dude.
Yeah.
I didn't know that about you until we were at a birthday party first, then a wedding.
Well, see, that's the problem.
And I snuck it on you. But dude, you're an entertainer. That's what you played hockey the same way. You love to
but see that's the problem is people judge without knowing, right? They hear rumors, they read the papers, or they do whatever. But hey, listen, Rod, when you and I left Moncton, there wasn't one person in Moncton that wasn't asking me to come back. I'll tell you that. It was, it's so, people just don't know, and that's okay. I mean, you can't know everything, and you can have opinions, but I challenge anyone to really, really dislike me after they spent an hour with me, because I'll make sure that you have fun, and I'll make sure, because I'm a pleaser. I don't know what you are, but I'm the guy that sets up all the dinners. I'm the one that sets up the clubs. I'm the one that sets up all the plans, so you don't have to. I'm the one that I want to make sure that people have fun and that they're happy when they leave. They had a great time and they don't have to worry about anything. That's what I do.
And you do that, by the way. You absolutely do that. But the funny thing is, even on your worst, like I saw you maybe at one of your worst times when you had air problems, basically threw you off an airline, and we get into Moncton around, I think, 4:30. You had to be up at 7, but here you were, bright and cheery. I think we had a little bit of orange juice in the morning, if you know what I mean. That helped out as well.
Yeah.
But so where does that come from, though, JR? Is that inbred in you? Is that genetic? What is it?
No, it's respect for the people that want to be with you. It's respect for the people that are bringing you someplace to do something bigger and better, right? So we're going to Moncton to that great event that we went to in Moncton, and even though I got an hour and a half sleep, and we were going to a golf course that I would not normally play because I'm a golf snob.
Most golfers don't play it either, I don't think.
No, it was not a nice course. It was a beautiful landscape, but it was not
great
a beautiful
people
course.
though.
Great people.
And by the way, sometimes it's not the course, right?
Nope.
It's the people you're with.
It's what you do with what you have that makes it important, and that I'm a firm believer in that. And you know what? So these guys from Moncton that were putting on this great event, in order for them to make the kind of money that they want to make, they have to bring in people that are going to make sure that the other people are going to enjoy being around. Wow, I had a great time. By the way, I still talk to my team that I played with in Moncton.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah. I call them. I see how they're doing. One of the guys.
First of all, how many stars? And you're a superstar. How many superstars would give the average Joe their phone number, their text message? I know who. Yeah. Well, one, Jeremy Roenick.
Yeah, because again, and it's. You got to really love people, and sometimes you find people that you're going to be friends with and you can gel with, and you will. One of the guys that were on my team up there in Moncton, he was a big guy, big heavy guy. He was the biggest guy out there, and after we were done and after we played, he goes, we motivated him to, I'm going to lose weight, and now he's on this big weight loss plan, and I'll call him up. I said, hey, Big Bob, how we doing? We doing okay? What are we at now? And just make sure he keeps, because he's so motivated right now. And I gave him a little something to shoot for. I said, if he loses a certain amount of weight in 6 months, that I'll bring him to a hockey game in Chicago on a little trip with me. So give him a little motivation.
That is so JR.
But that was such a
great time. Right?
Yeah.
When you look at the beauty of your career is that, like the guys who came generations before, there's not much film, or if it's black and white, but there's YouTube. do you ever not see? No, you can tell us. Do you ever kind of look at some of your highlights, look back on stuff?
Hell yes.
And
Hell yes.
what is your YouTube in your mind? Your YouTube moment?
Well, I have a bunch. My dancing in LA,
Yes.
when we were playing in the preseason game in Vegas, that's one of them. You know which one I play a lot for people because they asked me what type of player I was, and a lot of people that didn't know me or don't know hockey, they always say, "Oh, were you a fighter? Were you a fighter?" And I say, "Well, I wasn't a fighter by job. I scored goals, I did everything, but I did fight." I had over 45 fights in the National Hockey League, and I always go to one fight that was my favorite, and that's me and Scott Walker in Vancouver. And if you ever get a chance to Google Scott Walker and I fighting, because Scott Walker was a tough little son of a bitch, man. That guy was tough.
Yeah.
And I remember fighting Darcy Tucker in Philadelphia, and he one punched me right, like caught me right square, and we went to the bench, and Darcy turns to me and goes, "Well, I got to say, you do have balls, kid." Calling me kid. He said, you do have balls. And I was laughing and stuff like that. So, there's a couple things I go to. My jumping on the alligators is one where people bring up.
That is the craziest thing. Like, again, that's not a hockey moment.
No,
come on. Were you overserved that day? Like, you have to be. And it wasn't a fake gator? I thought for a second it was fake. It's not.
No.
Like, where was that?
No.
And
yeah, it was,
why the hell did you do that?
Because you wouldn't.
Yes, exactly.
No, it was at Bay Hill during.
Do you secretly want to be on Jackass or something? Like, what is like? Come on, what is?
No. I think I just like pushing the envelope, right? And I know that I like causing causing a stir, right? I mean, I've always done. I catch rattlesnakes in Arizona and chase people around with them, and at that point, at that alligator one was down in Bay Hill, Arnold Palmer's course, and after the round, Arnold Palmer actually came into the locker room and said, "Hey, hockey boy, we stopped chasing my alligators out there. They're scared shit right now." And I was like, I mean, it's a real story. It's a true story. Yeah.
Mr.
So
Palmer.
he called me hockey boy. So that was really cool.
In the frame, dude. Do your thing.
No, come with me.
I'm not getting closer, dude.
No, come with me.
No, because you'll throw me in the ground.
No,
He'll
I'm
eat
not
me.
going to. I'm not going to do it. I want you to come with me. Keep me in the frame.
You're in the frame.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
It was awesome.
I mean, there's a lot of. I mean, shoot. I mean, I can write another book by all the things that have happened to me since I've retired too, and stuff. But like I said, there's hockey's been really good to me, and I think I've been really good to hockey. There's no question about it. Unfortunately, I don't think that there's a lot of players that can actually be the entertainer, be the outspoken, be the flamboyant type, because I don't think the National Hockey League really wants that type of player. You get a few of them like PK, he's flamboyant. You get, Ovechkin at times can get flamboyant, a couple other players, but for the most part, a lot of guys are really intimidated and really kind of subdued because it's a very, very squeaky clean image league. It's a team-oriented league. There's no me's, right? You can ask any player in the National Hockey League who the best player is, and not one of them will say themselves. Not one.
Yeah.
Whereas in other sports, especially where they dribble the ball, you ask them who the best players. I am kidding.
No, you ask them who the top three are. Me, and me.
Yeah, we already talked about one of them earlier in the show. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Oh, JR, I could sit and talk with you all day, and I know you're tight for time. I got to do this again. I love talking to you. So I know you love to play golf, right? And it's one of your passions, beyond your family, obviously, and talking, like most of us. Let's play a quick 18 with Jeremy Roenick. JR, best arena in hockey.
Wow. I'm gonna have to say Madison Square Garden.
Good one. Worst arena in hockey.
Saddle Dome.
Yeah, they might get another stadium someday. Best stadium in sports.
The old Chicago Stadium.
Yeah, I would agree. Hey, remember 91 All-Star
No
game?
question.
We're there.
One of the best.
Oh,
One of the
my
best.
God.
One of the best things I've ever seen.
Yeah. Favorite movie of
Loudest
all
building.
time.
So I'm kind of tied for two.
It must be a
Shawshank
Vince
Redemption.
Vaughn movie.
Yeah. No, well, it should be when I'm in it. Swingers, not so much me. It's Roenick. He's good, but I'm kind of caught between a couple. Shawshank Redemption is one of my all-time favorites, and Forrest Gump is probably the other ones. Those two seem to be, and when you get to the funny ones, Caddyshack is unbelievable. Those are timeless.
Slapshot, Happy
timeless.
Gilmore. Yeah, best binge show that you've watched. I know we've watched a lot during COVID, I think.
I've watched a ton. So the actual one that I binged the most, which got me onto Netflix, was Breaking Bad. So Breaking Bad, Animal Kingdom, and Ozarks. Those are my three. Like I couldn't get away from them, and I was also a big fan of Queen of the South. Really good, because I love that narco stuff.
Yeah, you should try Succession. Succession was good too.
I love Succession.
Yeah,
I love Succession. I watched it. It took me a while to get going. It took me a while to get into it.
Yeah.
Stranger Things. I binge watched at the South Korean Olympics. I watched all of it. Yeah.
I still can't sleep when I watch that stuff. Okay, who plays Jeremy Roenick in the JR movie?
I think Woody Harrelson plays me.
Yes.
At a certain time, and I think I also like and then obviously when I'm getting older, everybody says I look like James Woods. So
no. James Woods.
I would just have to find someone who can fit my role around 18 to 30. I don't know if I can find that yet.
What's the title of the movie?
She's Hell on Skates, man. Hell on Skates.
Like it. Funniest guy that Jeremy Roenick, ever played with?
The funniest guy I ever played with. Wow, that's like hockey wise.
Yeah.
Probably Mark Bergevin, Stefan Matteau, Mark Bergevin. Those guys made me laugh like nobody's business. Joe Thornton, just for some reason I laughed every time I'm with Joe Thornton.
Now I know you played a lot of pranks. Best prank you ever played?
I mean, I've played a lot of pranks, but I played the best prank of all time. We don't have enough time on this podcast, but I scared Setaguchi and Torrey Mitchell so bad that Torrey Mitchell jumped through a double pane window in Vegas. It scared him so bad. He thought that a bunch of cannibal eating, crazy cult people were going to eat him, and got him so bad that he jumped out a window.
He was okay though.
He was, thank goodness. After he hid in Wayne Newton's barn with a bunch of llamas. It's a long story. Yeah,
it sounds like something from Hangover. The toughest guy you've ever known in hockey?
Bob Probert. Ty Domi. I fought Bob Probert, but not because I wanted to, because I had to, because he attacked me. But Ty Domi is one person that I don't think I would ever fight, because I've never seen a guy who actually gets more excited and smiles and laughs every time he gets hit in the head.
He's got the hardest head. Doesn't need
Without
help.
question. It's Teflon. It's titanium. It's a titanium forehead. And you know what's great about Ty? He's one of the greatest guys in the world, but he was also one of the best fighter players. I mean, he does not get judged enough and rated enough for how good of a hockey player that he was. He was like played the most playoff games of any Toronto Maple Leaf for like the longest time. I mean, for a fighter, that's pretty special.
And he actually won a playoff game, which was very unique in Toronto.
Or series. You got to say series. By the way, you know the last time that Toronto won a playoff series?
Was that when you were playing?
It was 2004. It was the first round.
And then they played
2004.
Philly.
And then they played Philly, and then I buried one right over Eddie's shoulder,
Yes,
and
you did.
they have not won a series since.
It is the curse of JR.
Sorry, it is.
Who
It
was
is the
your
curse of
sports
JR.
hero growing up?
For me, I had two. It was both Boston guys because I grew up in Boston. So as a Rick Middleton fan, loved Rick Middleton, loved watching him play, and Wade Boggs, baseball.
Chicken.
Yeah, I love sweet swinging Wade Boggs. You know, that cool little, that cool little swing that he used to have. He used to bunt it out there in the first, out the opposite field. Just loved watching Wade Boggs.
Yeah, you probably have every hockey player has regrets afterward. I'm sure, you were so close to a cup, yada yada. But did you ever regret not playing for the Boston Bruins or getting a chance?
I actually had it. No, I don't regret it. I actually had a chance. They offered me at the time in 2001 what I believe was the largest contract that the Bruins have ever offered a player in 2001, and I said no, because they had just traded Billy Guerin.
Oh yeah.
And I'm thinking, why am I going to go to Boston to win a cup when they're trading away people like Billy Guerin, who are probably the most important pieces to winning a cup?
Superstition or ritual?
Too many. I had too many.
Any crazy wacky ones?
Not really. I hear all these people say they wear the same underwear all the time. I'd always put the same amount of pieces of gum in my mouth. I'd always have the same amount of cups of coffee. I'd always put my stuff on right to left. Really? Couldn't touch my sticks. I always
did anybody ever touch your sticks and then you went ballistic?
No, not in the early days. In the later days, I didn't care, and I didn't care in the later days. But in the early days, nobody. I always used to leave my house at the same time. Especially if I was scoring, I made sure that I left the house. I wait in my garage until that clock turned 3:30, and that was out. So, yeah.
Your most prized possession or souvenir that you have from hockey?
My gold medal, my silver medal. I mean, silver medal. And even though it's a silver, it still
feels like gold, right?
It does. You know why? Because when the 80 Olympics won, when they won in 80, we weren't a very good hockey country, hockey nation. But because of that win in 80, it spurred people like myself, like Mike Modano, like Keith Kachuk, like Chris Chelios, Brian Leach, Dougie Wade, Billy Guerin, that whole crew, John LeClaire. And, not only did we win the, 96 World Cup, but we got to the biggest stage in the world, which was the Olympic final against our arch rival, the Canadians. And the Canadians were always at the top. It's Canada's game. But in the 2002, the United States had grown to a superpower because of our generation. And we ended up, even though losing, but we got there, and our generation got us there. And I think the players today look at that 96 and that 2002, which is why USA Hockey is still on the top of the map.
Mount Rushmore of sports. JR's Mount Rushmore of sports.
Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, Muhammad Ali. Ooh, this last one could be tough. So Michael Jordan.
You could have five if you want.
Muhammad and Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah. And you played for him. What kind of coach was he?
Not as good a coach as he was a player, but then again, pretty hard to be a coach and be Wayne Gretzky at the same time, given the lack of talent that the team gave him. He did all he could, but and Gretz and I are good friends and always will be, but we didn't gel great as player coach, but he's the best. I think Wayne Gretzky is the fucking greatest.
Yeah. Your dream foursome, living or dead?
Yeah. I've been asked this
probably
one
been
before.
Asked this cliche question.
Yeah, it's really hard. So Arnold Palmer would be one of them for sure. Clint Eastwood.
Hockey guy.
Yeah, exactly. So Arnold Palmer would be one for sure. Clint Eastwood would be one for sure. And I don't know if Elle McPherson plays golf, but that would be great.
All right. Segue to a romantic date with your beautiful wife, Trace.
Yes.
What's the JR mojo? What is for a real romantic night out?
For me, I think it's the attention. It's not so much what you do. The attention to detail. Like you can go with flowers and candles and wine and stuff like that, but I think a woman, and my wife especially, really likes when you take the time to set something up, plan it nice, do a nice dinner, whether you get a nice bottle of wine or you bring it. Um, do something at a time when it's not expected, and when you just want to do something. Because so that for me is, it doesn't have, it has
Look at you,
yeah,
you little softy.
yeah,
Hey, look at
yeah.
you. Hey,
I got it. Listen, I got it.
hockey guy.
I've been
Look
married
at you.
30. I've been married 30 years for a reason. Number one, because I have the greatest woman. Number two, I have the toughest woman. And number three, I have the most understanding woman. And number four, we're best friends from 13 years old.
And well, isn't that? And number five, you're a great guy. Commission. Only a couple more. Commissioner of the National.
She's giving me the.
Oh, that's beautiful. There you go. Commissioner of the National Hockey League for one day. I, Jeremy Roenick, would.
Oh, there's more than one thing that I would do. Well, since I'm an old school guy, I'm gonna do old school and new school. I'm gonna give you two things. Okay, number one, I'd get rid of the instigator rule, so that idiots can't run around and be stupid and not take accountability for how stupid they run around and be dumb. That happens too many times. That would get rid of a lot of players in the game that don't belong there, and free it up for people that are actually talented. There are a few of them in the game. And I think number two is I would go really crazy and go against the grain in terms of allowing the fans to see more of what happens behind the scenes, more that happens on the bench, more of the things that the coaches don't want people to see. I think it's really interesting to get to know the players and to see the real personalities, hear what's being said on the bench. And obviously, you on public television, you can't, which I just don't understand why we're so crazy about, hearing the word fuck or shit when it's all over social media anyway. So it's not like, why can't you hear it on television?
When our political leaders use it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So for me, I would make it mandatory that teams had to put more cameras and more mics around so that people could actually see what it's like to be a professional hockey player, because it's pretty unbelievable behind the scenes stuff. And some of it is X-rated, some of it is R-rated, and some of it is and a lot of it is comedic genius. So I just think more people would be more inclined to watch when they see the personalities behind the players that play the greatest game in the world.
Amen. I, Jeremy Roenick, owe my hockey career to.
Well, I owe it to my dad, number one. I owe it to the next door neighbor when I was 3 years old, to his mom for asking my mom if I would accompany her daughter or his son to go to hockey skating lessons, because I wasn't. Yeah, my next door neighbor in the apartment building, the little boy I used to play with, his mom asked my mom if I would come with him because little Johnny is probably going to leave if he doesn't have a friend. Well, I never stopped skating, and I don't know whether he played or not, but I wouldn't have started if our next door neighbor wouldn't ask my mom to keep my little buddy company on the ice. So I kind of owe a lot to her, even though I don't know who she is. And obviously my mom and dad, and then I owe a lot of how I was a professional to Mike Keenan, because he scared the shit out of me to play a certain way at 155 pounds my first year. And I kind of adopted a style of play that I had to in order to play the game in the National Hockey League for a coach who was very demanding. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, Iron Mike.
Iron Mike, what a different guy away from the rink, eh?
Yeah, and then when you get there, the guys like Dennis Savard, Steve Larmer, Doug Wilson, Michel Goulet, Keith Brown, that first team that I had when I first got there, they showed me, they kept me right by their side. I remember being in LA trying to get into this bar, and I was 18, and they put me in a big coat. They huddled me into the middle, and we all kind of shuffled in together to make sure that I got into a bar at 18. And they looked after me, and they made sure that I played the game the right way on and off the ice, and they told me how to be a bad poker player. They taught me all the stuff.
And
like
years down the road, I'm sure that's what you did to the youngsters as well.
Yeah, still today.
Still today. Finally, 20 years from now, 72-year-old Jeremy Roenick, where do you want to be? What do you want to be doing? Have you ever thought about it? Do you care? I think you're a day-to-day guy.
Mm-hmm. You know what I want to be doing? I want to be at my house, getting in my golf cart and being able to go out in the backyard and go out to my golf course and play. And, maybe 3 or 4 times a year, be able to go to a NHL alumni event and, try to get on the skates and tell stories at those events and help raise money for different charities all over North America, and tell the young kids how it used to be in the 1980s, 1990s, right? When
the old days.
Yeah, and
when we used wooden sticks,
in 2040,
we didn't have masks.
Yeah, in 2042, I'm gonna be like way back in the day when we, So yeah, that would be perfect for me.
Do you know what I would like to be doing, and I know I will be doing?
By the way, I gotta say this too. Sitting on the back patio with a nice bottle of wine with my wife, watching my grandkids run in the backyard. That sounds really good to me.
And then also taking your grandkids up to Toronto to see your plaque in the Hockey Hall of Fame, because you know what, dude, it's going to happen. Trust me. Hey, thank you for the time, dude. Hockey guy, you're more than a hockey guy, brother. You're an everything guy. I love you. You know that. Everybody loves you.
Roddy, I love you too, man. It's always been great being friends with you, and we have a lot of mutual friends, and we have a lot of fun times ahead, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. JR, thank you so much. Hey, do me one more favor. Never change. Never change.
It's Funky Cole Medina for the rest of my life, babe.
Funky Cole Medina. Thanks, JR.
That's it.
Told you. I told you. Like everyone or anyone, you might not agree with what Jeremy Roenick sometimes has to say, but you can't ignore him. And quite frankly, he doesn't care. And he doesn't care that you don't care. As I said, he's real, he's raw, he's JR. Jeremy Roenick. And sorry, Arnold Palmer, he's not just a hockey guy. He is a real dude, and we can't thank him enough for being part of this broadcast. We hope you got a lot out of this one today. I know I certainly did. JR is one of those guys that you just want to have a beer with and a conversation. And at the end of the day, you got to understand that he's just like you and I, and he just wants to have fun. And yeah, he doesn't take himself too seriously at all. Thank you, JR. Thank you for being you. Until next time, we'll see you on the Rodcast.
The Rodcast with Rod Black, brought to you by NorthStar Bets. That's a win.